Let's go, Jacob. Give us your fool's gold player for week 10 of the fantasy football season.
Yeah, this breaks my heart a little bit because I love this guy, but I gotta go with DeAndre Swift as my fool's gold for week 10. And look, I'm not saying people aren't aware that he obviously hasn't been producing. He's been injured. He just returned from injury. The coach has said that, look, 2 weeks ago he had 6 carries. And then Dan Campbell said he had too many carries. We need to ease him back a little bit more. And then he had 2 carries. But the thing is, people look at their fantasy apps and they see, oh, he's projected for 14 fantasy points. And while this could come back around to bite me because DeAndre Swift is so talented and can do so much with so little touches, I believe in the guy. If you can guarantee me every player is fully healthy, I think he's a top 5 running back, no question. But something's wrong here. He's not fully healthy. Dan Campbell said it himself. Sometimes coach speak is literal and they mean it. And he meant it. He took him from 6 carries to 2 carries, and he's still questionable. I'm not, look, he has a decent matchup this week, but I just don't see, look, the Lions are what, 2-7? Or are they 2-6 or 2-7? It's like the smart move for their franchise is, look, if Swift is healthy enough to play, and I know coaches and players have integrity a lot of times, and they just look, if I'm healthy enough to play, I'm going to play, and I understand that, but I just think he's going to be limited no matter what, and it's not like, oh, we have no one else to go to. They have Jamal Williams, who's on his last year of his contract with them, so why, and who's fully healthy. Why wouldn't they just use Jamal Williams? Like, what do they have to lose? And this conversation also worries me. Like, will we ever see Jameson Williams this year? I don't know. Probably not. But and that's irrelevant. Like in redraft, it's probably not going to have an impact anyway. But I just think all signs are pointing towards Swift being a disappointment. And look, I play in a lot of leagues, so I have a league or two where I have to start him because I have no other option. That's fair. I think that's most people's cases, especially with the bye weeks. But I would rather start either of the 2 guys we talked about over him. I would start Khalil Herbert and Jeff Wilson over him. So I think there, and that's crazy. Like you wouldn't think you'd be saying that at this point in the year, but it's true. I mean, would you agree with that this week?
Yeah, I would agree with it. You were talking about how head coach Ned Campbell came out and said that they're going to look to minimize his workload, and then boom, 6 carries, 2 carries. It's like, what in the world? Like they really are like taking away his workload. This week he did come out and say, I think I'm looking at the CBS Sports article here. Earlier today, he did come out and say we want to increase his workload this week, but still, what is it? He had 2 carries last week.
Exactly.
An increase could be back to 6.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, even if they increase his workload, it could be all passing work. And then he gets 6 carries and Jamal Williams has 13 carries. And that's just not the volume you're looking for. As we've said time and time again, our fool's gold aren't saying bench this player no matter what. No, that's never the case. It says, look at your lineup, consider it, look at what your other options are, and maybe you pivot. Because in a league where I don't have to start him, I'm not starting him. But I completely get it if you have to start him, because I am doing that as well. But I'm just a little worried about Swift. Not necessarily, like, people were relying on him to be their RB1 this year, like their number 1 running back on their team. And in our main redraft league, Beer Drinkers, I drafted him in the 2nd round. So I drafted Chase and then him, and look how that's turned out for me. I had to fight my way back to an above 500 record. So I just think that, there's teams relying on him, and they might have to figure something else out.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate. The motto is, or the golden term is, you always start your studs. And let's be honest, DeAndre Swift is a stud.
Of course.
However, we have never seen him get this kind of workload. And you were talking about it earlier about how, like, they're 2-7, they're going nowhere fast. There's a real possibility that they could shut him down. The same situation we're seeing over in Indianapolis right now. And the sad reality is, this has happened to DeAndre Swift his whole career now. It's happened to him the
Yeah,
last 2
that's true.
seasons. The Lions
He's
have been
missed a lot
bad.
of games.
They've shut him down later in the season due to
That's what I'm
injury.
worried about too.
So it might come time even next year when we're talking about DeAndre Swift, where we just have to look at the Lions as a whole. Are they going to be good? Are they going to contend? Or am I going to draft a guy who already has an injury past, associated with him, who very well could be shut down in week 11 on because his team started 3-8. Like, oh wait, is that 8? Yeah, 3-8 because the Lions typically do, unfortunately. So I don't disagree with it at all. This is the one stud that I think it's finally okay to say you need to just kind of wait until you see it again. And if he blows up on your bench, at least you're happy that he's going in a positive trajectory, right?
Then if he does that, trade him.
It seems to be that way at this point. That was Jacob's Fool's Gold Player of the Week, DeAndre Swift, running back for the Detroit Lions.